This is a big swing for her because we remember with Anna, she has raged about religious people. Like she is full on raged about like your religion. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to be governed by it. You need to keep that shit to yourself. I don't give a shit about your God. Like I've seen rants of her just going off. And now though, she's now about to advocate for religious people to be able to reject having their kids be exposed to the existence of LGBTQ people, which is crazy because if you go to school, like there's going to be gay kids, gay students, gay teachers, gay parents, there's single sex like marriages. Like my God, dude, my kid's school, like holy fucking shit, bro. There were like 3 or 4 families that were, single gender parents. It's like, bro, come on, man. That shit is, the genie is so far out of this fucking bottle. Like we need education and openness of the reality. It's like, like what are you going to do? It's like having a battle against Wi-Fi. Like really? You think you're going to have a battle now? Someone's going to stand up and say, you know what? No more Wi-Fi. It's like, shut the fuck up, right? It's fucking everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is. This anti-LGBTQ shit is like people coming up saying we're getting rid of Wi-Fi. It's like, no, we're not. You're going to just have to deal. You're going to have to figure it out.
So for context, what is this case about? How did this case develop? Well, it all kind of started with the Montgomery Public Schools. They expanded their English language arts curriculum back in 2022 to include books with LGBTQ+ characters.
Good.
As part of an effort to better reflect the diversity of families in the country's or county's religiously diverse and politically liberal population.
Here's the deal though, you ready? One thing that I do have to say that pisses me off about this is we gotta stop like looking at LGBTQ things as though it's about sex, because it is not. There is nothing sex about like being gay or straight. I mean, there's straight sex and there's gay sex, but being straight is not sexual. Being gay is not sexual. Okay, but it's weird how being straight gets treated like it's not sexual, but being gay gets treated like it's inherently sexual. Because when you're a 7-year-old kid, you have no concept of fucking sex. There's no sex involved. But a 7-year-old kid who's gay plays out like this. Somebody looks at him and says, oh, Jimmy, you got a crush on Susie, right? You're sweet on Susie. But Jimmy looks at Susie and he doesn't feel sweet on her at all. But he looks at his friend Chad and he's like, feels that sweet thing. And so that 7-year-old is really confused. He's not thinking sex. He doesn't know anything about sexuality or gender. He just knows that he's being sort of taught, implicitly that as a boy, Jimmy, he should be interested in girls, but he's not. And he can't explain why he's not. He doesn't know why he's not. He just gets that feeling when he thinks about Chad. And it has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with connection. And so that's the shit that we overlook, because the religious people want to turn it into a fucking peepees and all this other shit. And yeah, she did emphasize the word liberal there. She made it seem as though the liberal people want to impose this shit.
As part of an effort to better reflect the diversity of families in the country's or county's religiously diverse and politically liberal population.
She didn't hit the religiously diverse part.
Mandatory books or books that teachers are told to use during this instruction. 2 of the books kept coming up during the Supreme Court hearing on this. One of them was Uncle Bobby's Wedding, which is about a girl who finds out that her favorite uncle is getting married to another man. And then there's Love, Violet, which tells the story of a young girl who has a crush on her female classmates.
Dude, both of those books sound fine.
Now, I think the age of the students that would be, consuming this content or these books is important here, right?
I disagree. The age is not important at all. And in fact, I think the younger they consume it, the better, because that's like the most normalized it's going to be. You can be 2 years old and know that Uncle Bill is marrying a man and it should not affect you at all. Because again, there's nothing sexual about men being in relationships with men, the same way that they know their mommy and daddy love each other, and there's nothing sexual about them having a mommy and daddy. So there's nothing sexual about a daddy and daddy. And this idea that there's an appropriate age for this, that's fucking bullshit. It's nonsense. Dude, we were reading books to, like, my kid, we were reading books to him in the womb about, like, gender identity. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing inappropriate about a man marrying a man. It's as appropriate as a man marrying a fucking woman or a woman marrying a woman. It's all the same shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Right, we're not talking about high school students or middle school students. The students are in 4th grade and 5th grade, which, as you can understand, led to some parents having concerns about it. But
no, I can't understand that, Anna. And the fact that you're carrying water for these motherfuckers, Anna, what happened to you? Dude, what fucking happened to this woman, bro? Did somebody call her a birthing person? God damn, bro, Jesus.
This isn't an attempt to ban the books. This is about giving parents the ability to simply opt their children out of the lessons.
No, and what effect would that have? Okay, right? You ready? So let's play that out. So here's a bunch of 5th graders. They're going and they're learning a lesson about Uncle Billy marrying a man. And then, 7 parents opt their kids out. So during that lesson, those kids get let out of the room and go somewhere else. And then their kids are like, why are those 7 kids leaving? Oh, they're leaving because their parents don't like F slurs, is what some other kid in the classroom is going to say. Because, you ready? You know that there's a family at that school that has a same-sex parenting situation. So when you're reading the book that's explaining Susie's 2 moms or Billy's 2 dads, but then 7 students get let out in another fucking room, what does that tell Billy and Susie about their 2 dads or their 2 moms? It tells them that those kids can't be near them, right? Because, wow, if they can't be around a book, they sure as can't come over to the house, right? Now Billy's 2 dads are like a bad thing, right? They're bad enough that when they read a book about Billy's 2 dads, these kids have to leave the room because their parents are so offended. How do you think Billy's gonna feel through that with his 2 dads? I mean, come on, man. The messaging about this shit is so outrageous when it's like the reality is if your religion has an issue with 2 dads or 2 moms, you need a new fucking religion, okay? You do. You need a new fucking religion, especially since I know for a fact that the year your religion was started, everybody was fucking everybody. We all know this. We all know this. Dude, what is that, bro? The people that were preaching your fucking religion in the beginning were having sex with everybody. Like, come on, dude, it's nonsense.
Public schools. So Justices Sonia Sotomayor and Samuel Alito, so a liberal and a conservative, sparred over the very nature of the books that were used or will be used and whether they're controversial or inappropriate, specifically for elementary school kids. Let's take a look.
Is there any affidavit from any parent that merely looking at people getting married, holding hands, none of them are even kissing in any of these books.
Dude.
The most they're doing is holding hands.
Dude, they're not even like, they're literally, it's just the concept of the gay marriage that is the problem for these people.
From the book that Justice Sotomayor was referring to, Uncle Bobby's Wedding. I've read that book as well as a lot of these other books. Do you think it's fair to say that all that is done in Uncle Bobby's Wedding is to expose children to the fact that there are men who marry other men.
Thank you.
No, Your Honor. And this court in 𝗏𝗏𝗪 promised that parents would be able to continue to teach what this court called decent and honorable beliefs, that same-sex marriage is immoral according to their beliefs. And it's a far stretch from that for schools to compel students to attend. Parents are paying taxes. They have to pay at threat of criminal fines or penalties or the expense of private school. And then to have teachers telling them things that are directly contrary to their
beliefs. Yeah, the book has a clear message. And a lot of people think it's a good message, and maybe it is a good message, but it's a message that...
But the fact, though, that they want to teach their kids that gay people are immoral is fucking problematic, okay? Because they're not immoral. They're not. And in your religion, you shouldn't even be teaching that shit to your fucking kids, right? Like, what are you doing? Even if it were immoral by your religion, that would be God's job to take it up with them in the afterlife. Not your job to be fucking walking around here pontificating on this shit.
So Justice Alito, you know, he's making an argument in regard to religious beliefs, yes. But put that aside, because I think what he's also touching on that's really relevant to the arguments being made here is the fact that it's not just simply that these books have characters that happen to be gay. It's that they have an overarching message that, you know, pushes acceptance or acceptance toward gay marriage or whatever that religious folks have issues with. And so it's the nature of the books that Alito feels that, you know, the liberal justices are just kind of minimizing, whereas in reality, you know, these books bring up some issues in regard to ideology, right? In regard to...
See, you know what's crazy about this, though, is here's the problem I have with all of these religious arguments about this. I feel like the religions don't have a leg to stand on because all of the religions say bad things about greed, about telling lies, about, you know, judgment, right? They're equally bad. And in fact, the word homosexual didn't even exist when the texts for all of the Abrahamic religions were written. That word wasn't even coined until the 1800s, right? You look at the 10 Commandments, there's nothing in there about gay, nothing, okay? There is in there shit about stealing, okay? Things about worshiping graven images while people are wearing 10 different Trump visages around, worshiping in like a goddamn idol. But there's nothing in the 10 Commandments about that shit. Okay, it's not even a major core thread. But they don't take issue with like teaching them who the richest man in the world is, or teaching them about being a CEO, being wealthy, being the president who worships. They have no issue with that. They worship President Trump, coveting, yes, all this shit, bro. They just have cherry picked one thing that's not even a major thread in any of the religions. And that's my problem is no, you don't get to single out the concept of gay when you're letting all that other shit that your book says is negative and you're ignoring all that. That's where you get the fuck you, because we know that it's a fraud. We know this is exclusively about their own fucking sexual shame and their own goddamn weirdness, because they can't embrace whatever their own sexuality is. They're all pent up and weird, and they're trying to dump that shit into their kids about a non-fucking issue, okay? It is a non-issue, all right? Because they literally don't mind teaching about billionaires, and billionaires are much more heretical in the religious teachings than even being gay.
Pushing a certain take on gay marriage. Now look, I'm 100% in favor of gay marriage. I have absolutely no problem with gay marriage. And if I had children, I would not have a problem with them consuming that type of material. I think there's nothing wrong with these books. Let's just put it that way. I would be deeply, deeply concerned if this were a situation in which the religious parents were trying to be the arbiters of what all the students can learn. But that's not what's happening here.
But see, again, Anna, I know where you're going with this, because you're saying, well, the religious people aren't being arbiters of what everyone can learn. They just want to protect their own kids. but you're sending a message, okay? If the religious people are allowed to interrupt the class and to remove their kids because what's going on in that class is immoral and dirty and bad, you are now telling those kids, all of those kids, that this shit is immoral and dirty and bad enough that the good religious people are all taking a hike. And you're telling every kid in there with same-sex parents that their parents are dirty and immoral and bad. And fuck you for defending this shit, Anna. I know where you're going with this because we know you're sliding to the right-wing bullshit because of your weird birthing person obsession. Fuck you. It's like this shit is not immoral and bad. And if religious people really believe it is so immoral and bad that they need to message that to the whole class, then go to a fucking private school. And if you can't afford it, well, call your God and have him wire you some fucking money, okay? Because your God and your goddamn book is so fucking important to you, right? And you can't even, you know what I mean? You can't even, like that, the religion is so all-encompassing to you, but you're not going to homeschool your kids. Fuck you. Fuck your religion. Fuck the Abrahamic religions. They're nothing but fucking trouble at this point.
They're not calling for the banning of these books from the school district. They're not calling for the banning of this type of curriculum in the school district. They're simply saying these are our sincerely held religious beliefs. These are the books that are being used for our kids in 4th grade and 5th grade.
Yeah, these are our sincerely held cherry-picked religious beliefs about a single issue. But like, dude, they were sacrificing kids in the Bible.
We're not ready to broach
slavery is in the Bible
yet.
Your Bible.
And we're not comfortable with them learning about these things yet, especially when it butts up against our religious beliefs. So we'd just like to opt our kids out. And the school district's like, nah, it's too difficult for us to do. I don't agree with the school district on that, to be honest with you, because while I'm not religious, I think it's important to protect religious liberty in this country. You want public schools, which are funded by everyone and they're universally available for everyone, to be a welcoming environment for people of all faiths, all beliefs. And if there are, very narrow situations in which the lesson plan, butts up against religious beliefs, I think that parents should have the ability, especially in elementary school, to opt their children out.
Yeah, it's like pretty soon, what happens when the white people want to opt out of their kids learning about people of color, right? Or, you know what I'm saying? Okay, now you get to opt out. Okay, now Jack Posobiec's kids want to opt out of learning about any black history, right? And then some Asian kids want to opt out of learning about this, right? It is like all of this is a gateway because at the end of the day, man, if your religious shit, if there's gay people on the planet, your fucking God created that shit. Take it up with your God, all right? Seriously, if you have an issue with gay people because of your religion, you need to talk to your God. Your God made them gay, so fuck you, right? I don't want to hear your sniveling ass shit. Dude, I don't want to see the press secretary wear a cross around her neck. So I want to opt out of that, okay? So I want her to remove her cross. I don't want my kid learning about cooking. I don't want my boy to learn how to cook. We're going to opt him out. Dude, I want to opt out of having religious people in government, like majorly. We need to fucking boot all the Christians out of government.
And I do think that it's okay to give them an opportunity to opt out of those.
No, it is not, because if you go to public schools, you're going to have kids with same-sex parents. And so what are you doing? You're teaching those kids their parents are bad and dirty and immoral. And like, fuck you, they're not. The religious people are bad and dirty and immoral. And it's about time we hold them responsible for their immorality and their bullshit, okay? Where they say like, ooh, being gay is bad, but their Bible condones slavery. Fuck you, okay? Fuck you, fuck your Bible. Your book condones slavery, your book sucks. And so your book is wrong about like being anti-gay because your book supports slavery. Fuck you, stick the book up your ass. You're not opting out of shit, all right? That's my thing. The minute your book endorses slavery, we know your book is a piece of shit. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.